Hey, everybody, and welcome to episode 57 of the Sports Blitz. Hope everybody is doing well out there tonight. As always, I'm Robbie. Doug is here as well. Doug, how are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great, Robbie. I am doing fantastic, even if, we are all quarantined and still living at home. Hey, listen, if you're under a rock or you're just coming out of the cave, you may want to go back. But if you don't, listen to our show, man.
Give us a listen, then go back underneath, as we always say.
Really important to listen to us. But, doing great, Robbie.
Yeah, as am I. I am very excited to welcome on our special guest for tonight's episode. I first met this guy when he was broadcasting and doing PA for the Needham channel and the Needham High School football teams and hockey and all that good stuff. And he now is definitely doing big things in sports radio. He works for 98.5 The Sports Hub and also does a lot of PA announcing at all different levels of Boston area sports. The Sarge himself, Mike Riley, is joining us here tonight. Mike, it is great to see you. I hope I didn't botch that intro completely. Thank you so much for joining us.
Let me just see. John. I got to write the check out, dude. Robbie Johnson. That was excellent. Well, who writes a check nowadays? It's all Venmo and
I know. PayPal. Yeah, just PayPal, but it's all good. Yeah.
Non-contact. Yeah, I appreciate that, Robbie. That was wonderful. And Doug, great to be with you, my man. And talking to you guys before, I'm like, we could have a whole show right here, but let's just rock this. I'm ready. Really excited to be with you guys.
We are so excited to have you. And it's funny because obviously, I mentioned the Sarge. You are known as Mike the Sarge Riley on 98.5 The Sports Hub. So right out of the gate, the first question that I wanted to ask you is sort of just tell us the backstory behind the nickname. I've heard it a little bit on I think I saw a YouTube video where you sort of discussed it at one point, but tell the folks at home who don't know the story of the Sarge what the story is. What's the story?
Yeah, so the first time, I started at 98.5 Sports Hub in 2014, and as part-timer, you have a lot of those summer fill-in hours where the full-time guys have some time off. Rightfully so. They work hard during the book years, although this year was very bizarre with the NBA and NHL happening in July and August. But I was filling in one day on Felger and Maz, and Tony Maserati was in the one chair where Mike Felger usually was. Mike was out. In the two chair where Tony sits at the time, it was Mark Bertrand because he was the headline guy.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I forgot about that.
Right?
Yeah.
So Mark and Tony were the hosts that day, co-hosts, and I was filling in on the headlines. I took Mark's seat that day. So, any particular show prep for radio, you want to go in and, figure out what you're talking about for the day and make sure you know what you're talking about, pretend to at least. And we had what we were called at the old Brighton studio off of the Birmingham Parkway was the Jock Lounge. And this is the same studio as the old WBCN days. And wow, that was a big thing in Boston radio when WBCN folded and the Sports Hub took over. And that, Doug, you may be familiar with that big door there with all the bumper stickers on it and everything. There were two of them.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It was right in the sales office. And I still don't know what happened to those doors. Someone probably has it as a collector's item. But long story short, we're in the Jock Lounge. Tony Maz is sitting down on the computer preparing. And I went in and I said, "Hey, Tony, how are you?" I put my hand out and I said, "Nice to meet you. My name is Mike Riley." He goes, "Hey, Mike, how you doing?" Just talked to him for about 2 minutes. So about an hour later, we go on the air. Here's Tony Maz. "All right, hey, welcome to Felger and Maz. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Tony here and Beetle. Over here in the headline chair, we have Mike Riley." I got to tell you, before the start of the show, Riley came in and he shook my hand about 40 times. He asked how I was doing about 100 times. I've determined he's very polite and very well-mannered and disciplined. So I'm going to give him the title Sergeant at Arms, Sergeant Mike Riley.
There you go.
In my head, I'm like, wow, he just boosted my ego. I am not going to be able to walk out of this studio here. I just got a nickname from the #1 sports co-host in America, Tony Maz, with Mike Felger right there. And Beetle.
It's nice for your head.
Oh, huge.
Yeah.
And Beetle just blurted out. He goes, Sarge. And I'm like, whatever. It was all cool.
It stuck.
It stuck. But a couple of days after, I was working with a good friend of mine, Scott Zolak, on the show, filling in for Hardy that day. And he said he listens to Felger Maz religiously. And he goes, what did they call you the other day on the show? What did they call you? I'm like, oh, yeah, Sergeant or something.
Glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the glasses.
The sunglasses.
Yeah. He's got him. And I said, oh, yeah, Sarge or something. He goes, yeah, you're Sarge, or no, you're Sarge. And it just, like Beetle started it, it took off. So branded, it's now my Twitter handle at Sarge985, and, it works. So, I mean, people know me as that with the nickname, but it's a fun. You have to be given a nickname. You could never give yourself.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely, and it definitely has stuck. I mean, because that's what everybody now knows you as, and I mean, it's kind of funny, because obviously, you and I sort of go back to even my Mount Ida College days.
Oh my God, I forgot.
Yeah, you were the PA announcer at the now defunct Mount Ida College, and, when I was a student there. But and you segued perfectly into a story that I was going to bring up.
Yeah,
is that 2011. You and I called our one and only Thanksgiving game together. Obviously, you called, and I've called many Thanksgiving games before and since then. But you and I called the Wellesley Needham Thanksgiving game together that one fall.
Needham won, by the way.
Yeah, very handily. I mean, Needham, Wellesley. Hey, listen, Wellesley finished that season 2 and 9. Needham went to the Super Bowl. I'm not surprised. But I'm sure you remember this. A couple of years ago,
I know you're going to say.
Yeah, I sent a little tweet to Zolak and Bertrand. The funny thing is, I didn't even think that they would see it, let alone play it. I just for yucks, I was like, you know what? Let me just tag them in this just on the off. Sure enough, the very next day, they played it on their show and actually commented on it, and more commenting on your announcing abilities, which I apologize for. But
don't apologize. Hey, Robbie, I was getting the reps, man. And listen, I'm not Al Michaels or anything, but I was getting the reps right there.
It was hysterical to get a shout out for Zolak from Zolak and Bertrand was probably the highlight of like.
No, dude, don't apologize. You gave them content.
I gave,
And Doug can tell you this: content in radio is king, right?
Huge.
But
Huge.
no, I just thought that was really funny, and just to hear, especially you bring up Zoe, because his reaction was just was classic Zoe. I remember. I think they thought he may have dropped a FCC inappropriate word during that segment. And,
like the FCC is going to go after public access. Give me a break.
Yeah. No, they thought Zoe did. No.
Zoe.
Yeah, they thought, but I just thought that was really cool that our Wellesley Needham channel 2011 Thanksgiving broadcast made it onto the airwaves of Zolak and Bertrand. So
you have to understand, Mike, he texted me like 40 times that it was going to be on.
Wait, hold on a second. No, you're the one who texted me first. It was like, oh wait, I'm listening to Zolak and Bertrand. They're playing you.
It was me texting you once.
I bet you Doug probably still has those text messages in the archives, right, Robbie? Or right, Doug?
Of course.
I have my stuff. He's got his stuff. But I got tapes and CDs. I got all kinds of stuff.
I got you.
As long as we're talking about that, I want to get into sort of your announcing and PA career on a whole. But you did get an opportunity that season to announce a game at Gillette Stadium. I've had an opportunity through Wellesley Hockey to call some state championship games as well as at TD Garden. So just talk about, right off the bat, what that was like for you that year, especially since your brother, Mark, who we were just mentioning, was a senior on that Needham team that went to the Super Bowl. I know it was a little bit different format back in those days. But just talk about what it was like for you to growing up, a New England guy, a New England fan, and to be able to announce a game in one of the booths at Gillette Stadium.
Yeah, no, 2011. So, I mean, holy cow, that's almost 10 years ago.
I know.
It's crazy. It's unbelievable. But, yeah, like Robbie said, did that game on Thanksgiving, and then Needham gets the Super Bowl. My brother was a senior that year, so it was very special, very nice for our whole family to have that sort of, connection there. Now, Needham did lose to BC High,
Yeah.
but just, growing up and, going to Foxborough and for many years and being a fan, that was really cool. And this is before I knew Zoe, and I bring it up to him every now and then. Like, I saw him in the hallway because he was doing the broadcast for that game for.
Oh, that's right, for TV. Yeah, he used to do
Exactly.
the
him and Gary Tangway.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
And I saw him at halftime, and I just said, "Hey, how you doing?" He goes, "Hey, what's up, man?" And I bring it up to him every now and then, and he's like, "Oh, I had no idea who you were." I'm like, "Yeah, well, you had no right to, So it's kind of funny to have all that reaction right there. But that was really cool. Obviously, like I said, just a really special moment to be a part of that. It was later, not too long after that, in 2012, where I was doing the public address announcing. I've juggled a lot as I did the radio and public address announcing on the side. And one of my, I guess you could say, clients or accounts, looking at it from a sales perspective, was Babson Hockey. And Babson played at Fenway Park outdoors that January, or the January before. So I did the PA for that. And I also did Bentley Hockey too. Bentley played in January that year as well, 2012. But one of the big highlights for me was doing a Red Sox game in 2012, June 7th, 2012 the PA.
That's right. I remember this. Yeah, back when they were looking for
It was right after Carl Beam passed away.
Yeah, Carl Beam.
Yeah, right after he passed away. So, kind of had that niche of doing the PA for many years for a lot of colleges, and I did the Brockton Rocks. I did the Lowell Spinners, Babson, Bentley, a little bit of BC. And, keep my name in the game now. Right now I do Providence men's hockey. I do the Revolution and the Patriots. So it's a lot of networking, but to be able to be there in the booth and to see that firsthand, it was really like, wow, this is awesome. Now, there wasn't that big a crowd, but still it was a really unbelievable feeling to be a part of that right there.
Yeah,
the Bruins game last year too, actually.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, you're all over the place. It's funny, because I was going to ask you sort of about your sort of, how you get, sort of your PA career up until this point, but you just laid it out right there. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, I mean, the cool thing for me, I never gotten to do a game at Gillette. That's sort of the one venue that I haven't gotten to do, because I've gotten to do Wellesley hockey at TD Garden, which has been really cool.
Absolutely.
But I will say, and you were there as well, so obviously you can attest. The biggest broadcasting highlight of my life was 2015, the fall of 2015, getting to announce the Thanksgiving game at Fenway Park. I know Needham won that game as well. Absolutely. But just to be in Fenway Park, growing up, Red Sox were always my favorite team, and just to be able to broadcast my, the best and biggest rivalry in high school football from Fenway Park. I'm sure, again, Mike, you were there. I mean, that was just
oldest stadium in North America.
Yeah, that was just something else. Not only to be able to be broadcasting in there, but to be able to see, like I said, your alma mater. I'm sure it was the same for you, for Needham. I mean, just to be able to see them in there was something else.
Yeah, no, it was. And just even going back to the Gillette one too, when Needham played BC High, years ago, the Gillette Stadium, the Foxborough Stadium, they got rid of the Super Bowls for high schools because they have the grass. And then when they got the turf at Gillette, they brought back the Super Bowls there. They're allowed to have them again. I just remember that game. Needham played BCI, and the day after, Tom Brady was on the same field. He was playing the Colt. They played the Indianapolis Colts the day after. So it's like when you're in that same setting there, it's like, wow, Tom Brady, this is where he plays. Fenway Park, Ted Williams took batting practice right there. Babe Ruth actually played here. Poppy, home, you go on and on the list. And it's just a historical thing. It's a real cool kind of like a goosebump feeling, like it's really special to be a part of that. And I'm sure, and you know what, you talk to any broadcaster in America, play-by-play, newspaper writer, anyone that's able to do that kind of work that they're able to do, they have a career with it, and to cover the team that plays in a venue that's such as special as Fenway Park, or, you know, the history of the Bruins and the Celtics of the Garden, and even the Patriots now too, that's a real special thing for them. So when you're able to do something like that, that means a lot. You got to embrace that.
Definitely.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It sounds like you have an extensive resume there, Mike, which is great. With lots of different kinds of experience, which is also really kind of almost nostalgic for you, by not just being in a place where you as a little kid maybe went,
Yep.
but also being able to see your alma mater, play there, which is
Right.
in itself just a really nice thing and a nice memory. But I just wanted to kind of go back a little bit to your experience more on the radio side, just because I'm a little bit of a radio guy. I don't consider myself. Done Emerson College radio. That's what I've done, and that's it.
Go Lions! Go Lions!
That's right. Go Lions. Interestingly enough, I had a sports show there called Sports Spectrum, and what was interesting was we did absolutely none of the Lions games ever. So I don't really know why we didn't. But we just sat around and talked about sports on the radio, and it was really cool. And so just kind of wanted to kind of get your opinion a little bit about radio's really changed a lot. The 90s when I was at Emerson, there was a huge change in radio. CBS decided that they were going to buy every single station that they could try to buy. Mm-hmm. And then there was this big controversy, and they talked about it on talk radio overnight on BZ, and I was actually at Emerson at the time, and I got to talk to David Brudnoy, who is, awesome. one of the rest in peace, God rest his soul. But he was one of those, formidable talk radio guys that if you were interesting, he would not only bring you on, but he would actually start asking you questions. That's what he started doing with me, because it was just when CBS bought all these stations. And they were talking about it, and I said, "Hey, I'm an Emerson College student, and blah blah." And I talked on radio for like 7 minutes, and it was so cool. And I taped it, so it was even better.
That's awesome.
So so I wanted to see what you think. What do you think kind of radio's moving toward? Because I think it's interesting, because you used to have the family-owned, the duopolies and the family-owned stations, and now they're all owned by these big corporations, iHeartRadio and CBS and whoever. Mm-hmm. And do you think it's like moving? I mean, now there's satellite radio, now there's radio.com. You're able to actually see the people in some cases on their stations. Do you kind of see radio moving, and what direction do you see?
Well, it's funny you said that, Doug, because it was 3 years ago this fall, I was caught in the middle of a storm with corporate America. And I was, I had to make a big decision, personally and career-wise too, for that matter, where CBS Radio, I know you mentioned that, they were, they owned, now at the time, CBS Radio in Boston owned WBZ Radio, 98.5 Sports Hub, WZLX, Mix 104.1, and AMP 103.3. Well, in 2016, CBS decided to sell out of radio, and they wanted to stay on the digital television aspect of things. Long answer short, I promise you I'm going to answer your question. Where do I see it?
No worries, no worries.
But the writing is on the wall here, where I saw them getting out of it. Okay, it's going to all connect. So they sold out, trying to figure out an owner who was going to take all these stations, and they had the IPO and all that. So when I was at WBZ and able to do stuff at the Sports Hub, because we're sister stations, working with people on both stations behind the scenes and on the air, there was a lot of nerve. A lot of people were very nervous, and I guess they just didn't know what to expect and so forth. The WBZ situation, I was really surprised. They got bought out by iHeart. Okay, iHeart. It's an interesting company. I mean, they're a very powerful brand, but financially, I don't think they're I think they're in debt by a lot. The Sports Hub got bought out by Beasley Media,
Right.
and I was in a unique position where, I was getting more hours on the air at WBZ AM radio, but the Sports Hub, it was strictly part time. And I had to choose which station to go to. I had like a 12-day period to choose which one, because that buyout happened like November 1st, whatever it was, or November 17th, and November 1, they gave us a deadline. And I just remember one morning I was on my way to a shift at the Sports Hub, and my boss at WBZ called me, Peter Casey. He was there at the time, since was let go by them, not long after the buyout. He said, Mike, I'd really like for you to come with us to iHeart over to Medford. I'm like, yeah, I got to think about that, Peter. And I talked to my old boss at the Sports Hub. His name was Mike Thomas. He just left us last year. And he goes, listen, you can do what you want, but this is what I can give you. I'm not going to give you a contract or whatever. This is what I can give you. But just seeing what CBS did there and all that, and selling out of radio, going the digital platform, television, I've seen what stations like us, and ultimately I chose the Sports Hub. I've seen what the Sports Hub has done in the radio aspect. Yes, in the grand scheme of things, will they always be a radio station? Of course. But they've thought outside the box to go digital. Video is huge. You have to have that video presence. Now, here's the thing, too. Years ago, Doug, you knew that people would not know what a DJ or a host looked like. You have the power of social media. You have Twitter. People know where you're at. They might be, you're at the local pizza shop or at the Dunkin' Donuts down the street. Like, it's kind of scary. It's weird. So you got to be careful what you put out there. It's all video stuff with the radio. I think that's the future of radio. I'll tell you another big thing too is, on the social media aspect, Instagram. I mean, you look at Facebook and Twitter, but I think Instagram is such a powerful tool where people have the hashtags, they have the locations and everything, broadcasting live. Instagram, I think that is the future of radio, especially. And sure, will it be a constant where, I remember Jack Buck, the old Cardinals play-by-play announcer, Joe Buck's father. Yeah, he made his speech one time at a dinner. He said, turn the radio on. It's your friend. You can listen to it in prison, in the car, in your home. He's right. You can listen to it anywhere. Yes. But as the future goes on here, you have to think of other ways you're going to keep that audience. Look what happened in 2020. Look what happened this year for sports radio. For a good 2-month period, I mean, nothing happened.
All right, we're good. I don't know where we were,
but no problem at all. So what we were just discussing was the fact that I've talked to a lot of radio people, people that I kind of know that either in it or we actually had a guest on. Her name was Donna Halper.
Sure.
Yeah, she was my professor at Emerson.
Get out.
Yep. I talk to her every other week and whatever, and we talk about different stuff. And she's great because she's been in the early radio, which is wonderful. And she's this person who knows a lot about it. And she actually is a baseball historian. That's one of the reasons why we had her on too.
Really?
Yeah, she does a lot of baseball history and especially around the Black Sox or the Negro Leagues and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it was just wonderful having her on. But and she also founded Rush too. So and she loves telling that story. Rush in America. So I've talked to her and I've talked to some other people, and some of the people think that it's moving away from the bigger companies and moving back maybe to the smaller groups that are coming out that are like, hey, I want to buy a radio station. Why can't I do it? I want to do this. It's like having a franchise or something. So
Mhm.
I don't know if that's really where it's going, but I think you're right on, Mike, with the fact that people want video. People want to see what's going on these
Yep.
days as opposed to hearing it.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah, and it's a now world too, Doug. You know, everyone they want everything as
Yeah.
instant as possible. You know that. I mean,
right.
people don't wait around for the 6 o'clock news anymore. It's instant. They want instant reaction and so forth. And you know, the social media aspect of that is huge. The other thing too, and you guys have it right here. It's podcast. Podcasting has become part of the radio stations. I do a weekly podcast, shameless plug, on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Look right behind me, the pro wrestling belts.
Yeah.
Big pro wrestling fan. But
Okay, we love promoting shows, other shows on here.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So myself,
yeah.
myself and my broadcast partner, James Stewart, who is the Felger Maz
Producer guy?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Me and Jimmy do a weekly pro wrestling show. And people know of Jimmy and I having, you know, insight with pro wrestling and just being fans to listen to us. They have that voice there. Like, I don't think Felger and Mavs are going to talk about pro wrestling. I don't think Zolak and Bertrand are. I don't think, maybe TNR a little bit, but not much. You know?
See Felger do.
No, yeah. No chance in hell.
See
So,
Felger doing that.
No, but it's just like you give ESPN doesn't talk about it for 4 hours. It's NBA,
Right,
NFL, all that. It's a voice for fans, podcasting. So what Beasley Media has, they have their podcasting channel called B-Pod Studios, which they're very big in the podcasting stuff. We've been very fortunate to do that, and just being able to do that on a weekly basis, after a pay-per-view, previewing something. I've been able to travel to some places I never thought I'd travel to for WrestleMania. I meet some people I never thought I'd meet who have become some of my closest friends through wrestling and the podcast. It's really cool. So I think that's another huge aspect of radio where if you don't have that particular interview on, I don't know, you're listening to WBZ at 11:05 a.m. Oh boy, what did Governor Baker say to Doug, who had an exclusive?
Did we lose audio?
Did we lose the audio? Hello, is he there? Are you there?
We've lost
the audio.
We've lost the audio.
I hear you.
There we go. You're back. Yeah, no, you're back.
Sorry. Where did you lose me?
Like about 5 seconds, about like 5-10 seconons ago.
Like about 20 minutes ago?
No.
Just
oh God.
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. You want to just pick it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep going.
It's all good. We're good.
Governor Baker, like say you have an interview with him or something, you can't listen live on that time. So they'll say, hey, go to our podcast page, listen to Doug's exclusive interview with Governor Baker right here.
Yeah.
Things like that. So it's podcasting. It's available via the station. That is the other future of radio right there. Exclusive podcasts, exclusive shows, all under their brand. And it's a way to make money for them. So they figured it out because that's how they do it. And
that's great. That's great. That's really awesome. I wanted to ask you a question. We talked at the beginning when we weren't recording. We talked at the beginning about our dads a little bit.
Yeah.
And again, real condolences to you about for your dad.
Thank you. And you too, Doug. You too.
Thanks. Thank you. Well, wanted to
condolences to both of you.
Thanks, Robbie.
This year sucked.
Thanks. Yeah. This year was really bad. I'd like to go back and reverse the whole year.
But I'm gonna tell you what. Right here, hanging with you guys, one of the highlights of the year for me. So.
Oh, good. We like to hear that.
Yeah, let's rock it. Let's go.
Yeah,
right
that's ours too.
Yep.
It's ours too. I wanted to know whether your dad was into wrestling. Is he into wrestling?
I'll tell you this. He didn't really. He wasn't into it like I was, but to my dad's credit, God rest his soul. When I was too young to go to events on my own, he would go with me. I do remember very well that, WrestleMania is the Super Bowl of pro wrestling.
Oh, yeah.
It was here in Boston in 1998, WrestleMania 14.
Oh, wow.
And
I took my dad.
Get out to that.
I did. My dad loved wrestling.
He did. He did.
For the
Who was
longest,
his favorite?
For the longest time, he loved wrestling. It was the old time wrestling when I was watching with him.
Yep.
You know, I would say late 70s through the 80s, maybe early 90s.
Yep.
Maybe even toward the mid 90s. But yeah, like the $1 Million Man and the Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
Great guys.
These guys, even the Animal. I mean,
he just passed away.
I know he did.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. So these guys, and I actually bought him when it first came out. I bought him a wrestling ring, and every time he had a birthday, I would get him those figures.
Nice.
And I got him the Ultimate Warrior. I got him Hulk Hogan. I think Hulk Hogan was his
Hogan.
favorite.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hogan and the Warrior was probably the favorite because you should have seen his impression of the Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior was his favorite.
Oh my God! Yeah,
well,
one of his favorites, but I think really Hulk Hogan was his favorite. I think when he started tapering off.
Yeah.
He started tapering off when it started to get out of control with storyline.
Oh yeah.
He started to watch the stories and he was like, wait a minute, I just want to see them in the ring. I just want to see him fight. I don't need to know
it was all television.
If Miss Elizabeth is dating Mr.
or
Hooperhead or whoever. He didn't want that. He just wanted to see the guys in the ring so he could see him wrestle.
Right.
But I did bring him. I believe it was that one
with Mike Tyson.
Exactly. Yeah. I brought him. I got tickets and I surprised him.
Nice.
And I brought him, and he was like in heaven.
He loved it, huh?
He loved it.
Yeah.
And if you can imagine this physician, who was a Harvard graduate, Harvard Medical School,
right?
And he loves wrestling.
What
is that?
Good for him.
But it was awesome. He loved
you know what? And good for your father. Like,
he loved
that. And I mean, wrestling gets that bad rap from people like, oh, it's fake. Well, my response is, what else is fake? Movies. Movies are fake too.
True.
So if I enjoy it and if it really bothers you, then go elsewhere. I mean, this world.
Right. Exactly.
It's got enough problems. So go try to give.
But this was his Mike. This was his escape.
Yeah.
This is how he could escape on a Thursday night or a Saturday or whatever.
He had fun with it.
Yeah, he escaped from and he had his own business, his own occupational business, occupational medicine business for a very long time. And this is a way of escaping for him. This is a way of, I just want to watch this and just, sit 100%. And just watch this and this is what I want to do.
Yep, 100%.
It's a very highly intelligent guy going, you know what? This is cool.
Absolutely.
It's cool. There's nothing wrong with it.
Oh, that's right. I wish
it was awesome.
Your dad and my dad, they're having a good time right now. They're talking about this. So
they are.
Look at it that way, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. But long story short, my dad wasn't like a hardcore like me, but he took me in my first ever wrestling match. It was at Needham High. Killer Kowalski had his wrestling school in 1992. The main event, and it was all his, the guys wrestling under him, working their way in. The main event, though, Superfly Jimmy Snuka against the Honky Tonk Man. And that was really cool. That was at Needham High School. Yeah, and then my dad took us to, I think it was the second to last show at the Boston Garden in 1994. And then the 98 one, WrestleMania 14, my uncle was working at the Park Plaza, and he was in charge of all the events. WWF at the time, they were staying there at the Park Plaza. He got us into that breakfast there the morning of WrestleMania. I met The Rock at the time, Rocky Maivia, Jerry the King Lawler, the late Owen Hart, a lot of those. Who else was there? Yeah, Kane, The Undertaker.
That was the one. That was the one. The Undertaker was right next to Hulk Hogan. Yeah, exactly.
There is.
Awesome.
Autograph.
He loved The Undertaker. And it was because he was absolutely crazy. That's probably why I loved him.
Look at that. That freak you out?
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Undertaker Earn.
Earn. Gotta love that. That's awesome.
But yeah, we went to Mania 14 and my dad just hey, he knew he knew that we loved it. So my uncle got us tickets and it was great. And my dad was like a promoter in general. You would have thought he just, so happy about talking about everything. And he was telling everyone after, he goes, "This is unbelievable. WrestleMania was awesome. It was like the Super Bowl. It's a huge deal to have it here." I'm like, "Dad, you don't even like wrestling. This was huge. You don't understand." But so it's really cool to hear that. I'm like, that's pretty cool. My dad's talking up wrestling. So
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah.
That's really great.
that is just very, very cool. I mean, anytime you get to sort of go to those like big events, especially for a sport that you love, I mean, and enjoy, it's like that.
Well, listen, my show and tell right here behind me directly are the belts, and they're signed by a lot of the guys too. But up top here, if I can, I don't know if you can see it. Oh, damn, I'll have to send you a picture. I have a bunch of my event chairs up there. Mania 14's in there too.
Wow.
The chairs,
cool.
Wow.
That's my new collector item now, the chairs.
I mean, that is like a wrestler's shrine right there behind. I mean,
Damn right. Here, wait, right there. See him?
Oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, definitely.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's great. That's great, man. That's
there
great.
You go. Yep. It's my drug, Doug.
Hey, everybody's got to have one.
That's right, buddy.
At least you don't end up in the hospital.
That's
right,
right,
get hit
brother.
by one of those chairs. Other than that, you're good.
Oh, boy, yeah. Don't.
Yep.
But, Mike, I wanted to ask you, because in sort of hearing you talk about your dad made me think of this story. You know, we were talking earlier about the Wellesley Needham game and our history behind it. You actually got to be on the field for the 2016 game and participate in the coin toss.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
You and your mom. And so I was just wondering, as somebody who grew up with the rivalry, big, heavily involved in the rivalry, just as a fan and as a broadcaster, what was that like to you to be so intimately like involved in that, and to be sort of honored like that with those coin toss assisted duties?
I think they tried to get someone else, and I was a last minute resort. So that was a
you were a fill-in.
They asked me. They said they did ask me 2 weeks out. Like, hey, would you do this? I'm like, what the hell I'm like, what the hell are you asking me for? What do you want me to do this for? Like, no, you did the PA for 13, 14 years in the TV, and I was like, but why don't you ask someone else? No. It was very nice. It was a really nice honor. And that was cool. Like, just because traditionally before, it's not every day. And Doug, I know you can attest to this, and Robbie, both you guys, being in the broadcast, when you're on a microphone, you're telling a story. Yeah. You're telling a story about a person or whatever is going on there. You're presenting something as a public address announcer. It was really interesting to be in the middle of that set right there, to be introduced. It was like, this doesn't feel right. I should be introducing myself, So, but it was cool though. Don't get me wrong. It was a very high honor, and really nice to go out there and do the coin toss. And I remember that the old Needham High coach, his name was Coach Duffy, Coach Dave Duffy.
Right, Dave Duffy, yeah. Who's an assistant there now? He's an assistant there now.
Yeah. So Wellesley actually won the coin toss. Duff and I know each other pretty well, and walking off the field, he goes, "You couldn't win us the effing coin toss, huh, Mike?"
Yeah.
So this is kind of funny. Yeah.
But I just remember that. It must have been very special. I mean, because I know your mom was out there too with you, so that must have been made it even more special.
I'm so glad you brought that up, Robbie. I forgot about that, man. This whole year has been a blur, so to think about something like that, that's cool to look back on now. Really.
Yeah, because it was funny, because I just remember I happened to be broadcasting the game that year with the guy that you'll know, Mike Franny.
Oh yeah, good man, Mike.
Channel. Yeah, very good guy, very hysterical broadcaster. Yep. And we were sort of talking about it sort of during the beginning of the broadcast. I remember the other thing that related to high school, you were talking about sort of your experiences so far in the radio and the PA announcing. But one of the other gigs I know you had at one point was it doesn't exist anymore, at least the high school portion of it, ESPN Boston. I know you did some work for them, for the ESPN Boston High School site.
You're really scrapping the service there, huh?
Research.
I come prepared, Mike.
We do. We really do.
I love it.
But
a background check.
That's right.
No, but it just, I mean, because obviously, ESPN Boston, I mean, still, for the pro sports is still, they still do a lot of the coverage and stuff like that. But I remember, a lot of people used to love their high schools department with Brendan Hall and Scott Barboza.
Two great guys.
Two great guys. And I know, I don't mean to get too, down, because obviously we're talking about, people have had, but obviously Bruce, the late Bruce Lurch as well, rest in peace to him.
Yep.
Great. I had a chance to meet him a couple of times at some tournament hockey games, and fantastic individual and a great reporter. But I was just curious, why during your time there, I know for that you did a lot of the like the video reports. You're talking about video and stuff like that from like the Super 8 and state championship games. I guess can you just sort of take us through what that, in sort of terms of your experiences in sports media, what that was like for you to, cover high school, which you were used to doing, through Needham and all of that, but do it sort of on a big time platform, like, under the ESPN name.
You're right. Yeah. And that's it. The name, the brand, that was at a time where I was on so before I was at the Sports Hub, I was over at WEI for 5 years on the air doing the Sports Flash there. And it's funny because I started WEI the same time the Sports Hub went on the air. It took me 5 years to hear back from 98.5. And it was at that time.
Doug is shocked. Doug is shocked to hear that.
What to hear back from the?
No, it's a 5 years.
Well, it actually doesn't shock me.
Yeah, no, it's just so it was at a time where we knew that they were getting rid of the Sports Flash and EEI, and I was like scrambling. I'm like, oh no, what am I gonna do and all that, and I really tried like hell to do whatever I could to get in the hub, and thankfully it all worked out.
Yeah.
But in that during that same time period, the last 6 months or so, I talked to Brendan and Scott, and I said, hey, you guys ever need any reporting stuff? Just trying to keep all my options open with the video demo stuff. And that's where I did the ESPN Boston. And just the fact you could have that on your resume, like you said, ESPN, a powerful brand.
Yeah.
Along with the EI, to show the Sports Hub and other, potential places where you're going, to have that on there. And it was just fun. I loved doing it. It was great. So it all worked out in the end. Build the resume, brand, and love what you do. It was the perfect storm. So I did it for a short time, but it was all volunteer. It was not non-paid. So just the fact you can have that on there.
Sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
To get the bigger gigs, you have to go in and do your time.
People going in that, walk into a TV station, an intern, like that they're going to have a camera guy with them all the time and have an editor. You're going to have a wake-up call. Splash some cold water on your face. You're going to be a one-man band. Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah, it ain't going to happen.
That's not happen that way.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere in Nowheresville, Iowa. Before you work your way back to Boston. It's going to take time,
Definitely. But I mean, obviously, like I said, you've ended up, working for, arguably the top sports radio station in the state. I mean, in the Boston area in 98.5. And that's sort of my next question is, working with all those guys, all those different personalities, you mentioned Toucher and Rich, Zoe and Bertrand, Felger and Maz. Can you just sort of take us behind sort of the uniqueness of sort of those three shows of what it's like working with, with those guys and those respective personalities, because all those three shows are great. Don't get me wrong. I love listening to all three of them, but they definitely have their sort of unique personalities to them and sort of their unique, even just the personalities themselves on the shows have their unique personalities. So I was just wondering, you could just sort of talk about, what it's like working with all those guys. Because it's from a viewer's or listener's point of view, it sounds like just so much fun. But I was just curious, what your experience is like with all those guys.
And Robbie, don't sell Adam Jones short. Throw him.
Oh yeah, not yeah.
But don't let the Dark Knight get on you. No, they're all. Yeah, no, they're all very talented, really talented guys. There's a reason why they have a full-time job there. They're the best in the business, and they're very good, and they're all different to their very unique to their own craft, if you will. Touch on Rich, fully admit, Rich has said over time and time that when the Sports Hub, he made a comment along the lines of when they went to sports, because they were WBCN back at the time.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, he had a problem, like he wasn't too big on going to the sports aspect. So I think their core audience was the WBCN guys, and to make that jump to the sports talk, it worked. They got them. They got the listeners. It was great. You have a guy like Zoe, who is a backup, and Fred and Rich, two very talented guys, awesome to work with too, just good guys too. And John Wallach's great, the whole production crew. Zolak, backup for the Drew Bledsoe, the name right there. No, but he knows the game. Listen to him even on. I think Zoe is he's great on talk radio, but listen to him on play-by-play. It's really fascinating.
Mike, my wife can't stand this, but when I watch the games,
you turn the TV down.
Absolutely. I mute the TV because I cannot stand, and I'll tell you right up front, and I hope they're listening, I can't stand the national guys.
Yeah.
They're some of them are Al Michaels is fine because he's like this anyway. Right. He's not really a football guy.
Right.
Or just a play-by-play guy.
Yep.
But other than him, I just can't stand any of them.
Oh,
so
I know.
I turn on 98.5 in Sports Hub, and I'll tell you the reason I do is because Zoe knows his crap.
He's awesome.
He knows his craft.
Excellent.
He knows football. He can tell what's going on before it almost happens, which I love. Yep. He'll also say if there's a penalty, I know exactly what that was. That was this. I'm like, how do you know? Of course he knows.
Yeah.
That's why I love to watch the broadcast. I just want to throw that in there because he's awesome. He is fabulous when it comes to that stuff.
100% agree. And you know what, Doug, like, he lived the dream. He was in the NFL,
Right. Exactly.
And you know that, like, a lot of coaches and commentators and so forth, they may not have been, the top of the guy, but they studied. Like, Zoe was a backup. He knew everything. Look at some of the best managers in the game. They weren't the best players, but they were the best guys to learn from. Like Frank Kona, he didn't have a great playing career, but he was a smart guy. Mike Scioscia, catcher. Belichick, he didn't play, but he coached. Stuff like that. But Zoe, great guy to work with. Mark Bertrand's very professional. Everyone is professional. Mike Felger and Tony Maz, you got to know when to talk for certain guys, but they're, they let you talk. It's good. And Adam Jones, I think it's a lot of fun to work with him because essentially you're kind of like a co-host with him. Yeah. He's going to go off. He's going to bounce off of you. You're with him for 5 hours. It's a long time.
It is.
But they go off. He bounces off you. You're like a co-host. So it's kind of cool in that sense. The other guys, you can be like a prop or you can be informative to a point. They're all really good. And the part-time guys I work with too, that have made a name for themselves. A very good friend of mine, Joe Murray, one of the Bankroll boys. He's one of my best friends. And Joe, and working with him, he'll let you talk. Matt McCarthy and Tim McCone and Sean Silver, all those guys, we work well together. We built a common ground together to do a show together and host and so forth. So I think everyone, that was a big thing too, guys, like making the jump to the Sports Hub. I really noticed right away, like, wow, everyone's so nice to each other. Like, when do you see that on radio? Don't you see like people trying to stab you in the back all the time? Everyone was like really.
I've heard.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
I've heard some stories, but definitely.
It's crazy. Like even
it used to happen. Yeah, it used to happen a long time ago too. I mean, it's happened every decade. It's happened,
and it still does. Yeah.
Sure.
But the Hub, everyone just liked it. It was so refreshing. Everyone liked each other. Still likes each other, and they'll put you over. Doing that at WBZ too. The people I worked with there, they were great. But the Hub, though, when I first got there in 2014 before BZ, they were just everyone still to this day very friendly, and I've become good friends with a lot of those guys. So There you
Yeah,
go.
that was basically, Robbie, you kind of stole my question, but that's
All right.
no, that's fine. That's fine. No, I just really wanted to know, kind of a little bit more about the personalities there, and what you see, and I say see because you can,
Yep.
what you see on video or what you hear on radio of these particular personalities. And I know when I listen, I kind of go back and forth with each station. So I'm sometimes I'm an EI guy in the morning, and sometimes
You bounce around.
Yeah, I bounce around a little bit depending on the. And I know, Robbie, some of your question was about there's different personalities and what do they do and how they do things. I think it's also the day part also makes a big push for what and maybe Mike, you can talk about it too, is the day part also matters because, when you're talking about the morning show, you're talking about morning drive. When you talk about morning drive, you're talking about, contests and different things that they do. And they're talking about sports kind of in and out, but it's more about kind of keeping people from falling asleep on the Mass Pike.
Yep.
And crashing into a wall. So you're kind of it's kind of like, you're trying to, it's different programming. And then once you get to Zoe and Bertrand, then they start really focusing on more of the sports because now you got the 10 o'clock crew, the 10 o'clock people that are listening that are really like, okay, I'm at work, I'm good. Right. You need to talk about sports now because this is what I need to do.
Right.
And then when you start getting into the afternoon and then you're on afternoon drive. Now you're trying to keep people again from doing the same thing on 128. Right. You're still trying to do the same stuff.
Yep.
But again, you're still talking sports, but you're going into a little bit of a zone. And then when you got Adam Jones at night.
Yep.
This is like the shows at night and even overnight sometimes. Sometimes it's ESPN radio or Fox or whatever it is now.
Yep.
When you're talking about those day parts, the evening day part is very cool because I noticed that Adam Jones does almost co-host with the guy who's doing the Flash.
Yes.
And that's the first thing. And the second thing is that you're almost trying to keep people awake. You have the people that are already they can't go to sleep.
Yep.
All they want to do is turn on some mindless, and maybe it's not mindless. Maybe they want to call up.
Right.
And maybe it's a little bit more difficult because people are kind of trying to sleep a little bit. But again, you could speak to that a little bit more. But that's kind of what I learned. Going to Emerson and kind of talking about, the different day parts and the different, because it is different and the personalities are different too.
No, I think you're spot on there, Doug, and that's pretty much, especially, you touch on the drive times, the morning and afternoon. That's your meat and potatoes of radio. Most important for ratings and people listening at that time, like you said, the drive times there.
And the commercials.
Exactly. Yes.
Don't like this. The commercials.
Exactly. Yeah. Makes the world go round and round. The dead presidents.
Forget about anything else, but that's what it is.
100%. Yeah. And the midday, it's kind of like like background noise a little here and there. But you do have it on television now too. They're simulcast, so that's another thing. But the nighttime radio is funny, especially for sports. Because it's a recap of the day. So it's a lot of recycled stuff. Maybe you had a Danny Ainge interview on the morning show and they play a lot of that, dissect that. It's also hard too when you are going head to head when they actually did matter, the Red Sox going up head to head. I'm sorry, but I'll take a shot at them. No one cares about them anymore right now. On the nighttime show,
True.
Don't get Robbie started.
It's bad, Robbie. It's terrible. Robbie, I will tee off on baseball. No. The whole sport is terrible. It's a terrible sport right now. It's awful.
No, listen. I agree. This year's Red Sox team, I don't know how I made it through a whole season of watching.
Here it comes.
This was worse than Bobby Valentine. This season was worse than Bobby Valentine. That is saying something.
Yeah. The Bobby Valentine year, like even the Valentine year, they had stuff to look forward to, like the 100th anniversary of Fenway.
Yeah. No, this year was just. Hey, I agree completely. This year was just brutal. I'm so glad it's over.
Yeah,
Should
no,
have been the
it's-
mercy rule in that. I'm telling you, should have been the mercy rule.
yeah. I mean, the fact that they had 60 games, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Sox
Yeah.
dodged a bullet. They dodged a major bullet,
Oh, they
especially with no
certainly did.
crowd. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
how many?
nobody saw it.
No one saw it exactly.
Nobody saw it.
Dude, I can tell you the total amount of time I watched a Red Sox game this year.
0.
19,
Wait, have you been on with us longer?
yes. Not 19 seconds. That was it. I checked in and out. I'm like, screw this. What a joke. I haven't watched much baseball out of this year, anyways. Either. I just think the sport is dying.
It's really weird. It's just really weird this year. I mean, all the sports are, but baseball especially, just like empty ballparks and stuff like that.
Robbie, baseball has died. Baseball. Let me tell you right now. Baseball died within the last. You know what really died? When the Cubs won the World Series. You cannot have the Cubs win the World Series. You need misery in sports, and that's not a good thing. You need – I'm serious.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
You need the chase. That was terrible. I thought it died about 10 years ago, baseball, but it really it was the nail in the coffin there with the Cubs winning the World Series. That was it. No, you need them to lose. Need to. Misery in sports is fantastic, and it's a chase. It's the aspect. Are they going to do it? They're going to do it. People outside the city that are watching it, that killed them. Killed it. So
It's also great to talk about on radio.
The problem is I can't really, even though baseball has been my first love since I was 6-7 years old. I can't disagree because
Robbie, how old are you? How old are you, Robbie?
30.
And you like baseball the best?
I love baseball. Baseball's been my favorite sport since I was 6 years old.
I don't know, Mike. I keep trying to turn him, but he
love
just
it.
doesn't turn.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
man. Yeah, dude. I used to. I could tell you anyone with the Red Sox. Anyone. I love the Red Sox. Everyone. Up until the day they let Francona go. When they let him go, I'm like,
that was tough.
I had a hard time with that too.
Are you kidding? The guy broke a curse 86 years. What do you want him to do?
Exactly.
And now you expose him, like his personal stuff. No, snakes.
Yeah,
like
that was tough. That was very tough. I was not happy.
And listen, in classic Red Sox fashion here too. What do they do this past Sunday, week 2 of the Patriots? They try to.
Fire! Oh yeah! We were talking about that earlier. They fired Renicky 5 minutes before the game's supposed to start when the Patriots are starting.
You remember last year too?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What did they do last year? What did they do last year?
They got rid of Core during I forget.
No.
Was
No, Dombrowski.
Dombrowski. That's right, Dombrowski.
The night the Patriots unveiled the Super Bowl banner.
That's right. You're right.
Like 5 minutes before kickoff when they got Antonio Brown and everything. And they're like, oh, yeah, we're going to fire Dombrowski. So we're going to bury this. I'm like,
that's right.
Bury the story. Bury the story.
Yeah, bury the lead. Go ahead.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Listen,
I'm done. Done with John Henry. Done.
I don't disagree with you. That is the thing. I don't disagree.
Hey, you got the logo on your chair, man. You got to live with that. I don't have that.
I don't either. Yeah. I can't watch a 4-hour Yankee and Red Sox game.
I got the. Oh, these aren't.
Can't do it. It's like watching paint dry.
It's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah. Hey, listen, if you like them, all the power to you. But I'm done with them. Done.
Yeah,
it's a problem too when your ballpark is more important than the team.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good point there.
That's
Robbie.
true. People
really
go to the Red Sox more to see Fenway than they do the actual team. I won't disagree with that.
So to the Red Sox credit, they have parlayed that where they made it the #1 tourist destination in New England.
Yeah. Oh, come on, not again.
People come all around the world to see Fenway Park. They want to see the Green Monster and everything and all that. So that they've worked that in their favor. But it's just like, I don't know. I can't do it. I'm done.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all, Mike.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I know it's been very difficult in the times that we do not have a guest and having I'm going, okay, we're going to talk about the Red Sox.
Oh, forget it. Yeah.
I'm like,
run for the hills.
Because I know Robbie's like it's his #1 sport. So I get it.
The other problem
listen. I used to go out in my backyard and I used to watch in the 70s when Yaz was there, Lynn was there, Burleson. Yep. I knew the lineup. I knew the stances. I used to do the baseball stances. We were talking to we had our guest Robbie from the Red Sox. I can't remember.
You mean Matt Noon?
Yeah, Matt Noon.
Oh yeah, the left-handed pitcher Babson. Yeah.
Yeah, we had Matt Noon on, and he was talking about how he used to do that in the backyard. I used to copy these guys, and I used to play baseball in the backyard.
Yeah,
I didn't mind playing it, and it wasn't bad a long time ago when you used to watch it because even if they didn't win too much, it was an exciting team. But now it's like all about money. It's all about all kinds of different kinds of things. It's not. It's not about putting the best baseball team. What they get rid of bets for?
Well, you hit the
not
nail on
about
the head.
putting the best.
A player like
that
that comes around once every 100 years, like a pandemic.
Exactly.
You know, and it's like you got rid of him. Are you kidding me? No, come on.
Hey, listen. I will say this, and the one thing that I cannot stand about baseball is how they're trying. Sometimes I feel like they're trying to take these sort of the things that made baseball out of the game by implementing all these new rules and stuff like that. And listen, I get it. They're trying desperately to like appeal to these younger demographics, but for someone like me, it almost alienates the older fan bases because like when you start putting runners on base and extra innings and all these different things, that just doesn't feel like real baseball to me. And
they're trying to expedite it and doing whatever they can to make it exciting to get that attention there, and it's just not working.
Well, I think the attention spans nowadays is very thin. So they're trying to get people to sit in the park and watch a 4-hour baseball game, and they're trying to bring it down to 2 hours by making these rules and instead of being baseball purists and doing what you need to do, and trying to maybe speed up the pitching a little bit, but you don't need a pitch clock necessarily. Let's try to do it some other way. But they're just not. They're not moving it in the right direction. People are like, I don't want to watch that. Are you kidding me? I'd rather watch wrestling on Thursday nights on TNT than to, I'd rather watch someone off the top rope than
you should be watching wrestling.
But it just doesn't make any sense to people anymore. So they're like, well, why should I do this?
Hey, listen. This year,
paint dry.
This year, I will say especially, if there was a choice between, the Celtics, Bruins, Patriots, or Red Sox, I'm choosing all those other teams before the Red Sox this year. I mean, I was just happy that sports back, so that's why I would tune into the Red Sox, and there was absolutely nothing else on. But even I was just kind of like, would much rather prefer, all these other teams than the Red Sox.
Well, let me tell you this real quick. I mean, you look at Jim Murray, who was the headline guy in Felger, Mass.
Yeah.
Jim this year.
Great voice, by the way.
Very good
nice,
voice.
Very
very
nice
good
voice.
He's a radio guy. Voice. Jim's a radio guy too.
Hey, can I ask you a question? Does he smoke cigars and drink a little whiskey? Is that what he does? Or?
Yeah, I think he does. I'm pretty
sure. A little bit here and there.
Yeah. Jim likes.
That's what I was told. That's what I was told a long time ago. That some of the older guys who were doing the older voice guys were telling me,
smoke.
Easy way to do it. Yeah, no problem. All you got to do is drink a little whiskey and smoke some cigars. I'm like, dude, that's not good for you.
You clog it up, really clog it up. Yeah. Well, Murray, I can tell you this year on the last couple of months, especially with the Red Sox, you do the update. Hey, Celtics play tonight against the 76ers, game 2. Listen to it. Bruins took a rest, left the bubble, and we don't know what's, a good 5, whatever minutes of everything, 3/4 of it on all that stuff, literally the tail end of it, and the Red Sox play tonight. That was it. Nothing. Didn't even say anything. Just like they used to be front page. They used to be the front page. Not anymore. It's done. They're irrelevant. Done. It's over. Over.
I love it.
Over.
Oh, that's great.
I can't disagree. So
love it.
Brutal, man.
I love it. It's very brutal. Yeah.
It's brutal.
Hey, listen. I wanted to ask one last question for me anyway, and it's more about the radio thing, and I think I have an idea of what you guys do because, but I just wanted to get, and I've been in studios before. My friend of mine that I told you about earlier. He worked for the duopoly down in Rhode Island. It was Light 105, PRO down in Rhode Island, 2 AM stations, 2 FM stations.
Yep.
And he worked down there, and I used to go into the studio and kind of hang out with him, and I used to talk to all the guys down there. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wanted to know what you guys do at the breaks. That's what I mean. Do you guys I know I know you guys hit the bathroom pretty quickly because
this,
it's
is this
sometimes
pre-pandemic or
well any time
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a little different now than it was before the
Yeah.
pandemic, but it's like sit in your seat, don't go anywhere.
Right.
Oh my God, okay, I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere.
Yes.
But yeah, I just wanted to get an idea of because people don't know. People that are listening, maybe listening to our show, have no idea what you guys do during the breaks. I have an idea, but I don't want to give it away.
No, that's so pre-pandemic, I think kind of hang out there a lot, talk amongst everyone. Now with the pandemic, we have the glass up in between,
Right.
and if you're going on the hall, it's kind of nice to get out of there to take a little breather, walk around, wear the mask, just get out of the room. But I guess in a normal world, let me put it that way. In a normal world, there are times where you're going to get called in by, for an endorsement. I may have to do a read for DiStefano hair restoration. I may have to do a read for Boston Laser or Awaken 180. Like, hey, we need you in here right now. Yep, no problem. Come right in. Felger gets a call in for the moving company he does. Maz may have a call in to do something for DraftKings. So you don't have a lot of time in between while the production guys are there, or you just hang out, shoot the breeze for as much as you can. And you can tell the chemistry, you kind of figure out what's going to happen on the next segment. Maybe one of the producers will come in and be like, hey, that was a really good thing. Let's keep that topic going. I don't think this is going well. Let's change gears. You can call the audible with the rundown. So there's a lot of communication on that spectrum, but it can also be busy too. Like I said, if you have to do a recording or something like that.
Yeah, you'd be redoing maybe the sports flash. You'd be redoing some of the stuff if something came in, breaking news or something like that. You'd be maybe moving things around a little bit to make it sound a little different.
Exactly.
Not doing the same flash every time because
I
just heard that.
Well, so here's the thing. Yeah, you're right about that, not doing the same flash. However, though, if it's the same stories happening throughout the day, you change the wording.
Right. You change
or like, hey, all right, I'm going to start with the Celtics this one, and then I'll put the Bruins first in the next one. So Bruins 1, Celtics 2, Celtics 1, Bruins 2. Just flip it around. Right. Like you said, keep it fresh. You get a new listener every time, and then obviously you have the hardcore listener for the whole 4 hours of the program too.
Exactly, right. Wait a minute, I've heard that flash before. What?
Right.
Oh, I totally get that. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it totally makes sense.
Rule of thumb, though, like I even tell people all the time, like you're writing a script, change the words and so forth. Like, Doug scored a goal today for the Bruins. That was his third goal of the game. Well, what else is a third goal? That's also a hat trick. So instead of a third, a hat trick. Doug for the Bruins, career high. Well, what else are the Bruins? They're the black and gold. They're the bees. Change it up, stuff like that. You keep the attention there. Don't repeat it.
Make it a little different each time.
Exactly.
Then you keep that audience going.
Exactly.
No, that totally makes sense. I just, wanted to get an idea of what your thoughts were, and also kind of wanted to know whether Felger is really that mean. But I don't think I'm going to go there. But
everyone,
everyone asked the question.
Everyone,
from what I've heard, he's like the nicest guy. From what I've heard, from different people out there, in the radio land, so to speak. I've heard just he's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I know that there's certain people in my household that may not want to listen to him too much.
Yeah.
Just because he's a little negative. But
it works. It works, all right.
Can be, but it does work for him. Yeah, it definitely does.
And it gets
got a little niche going on, which would make sense.
Yeah, and it's the rating.
And then Tony's like the opposite. Tony's like the more the upbeat kind of positive, more.
Oh, you're right, Mike. You're right, Mike.
Yeah. You're right. You're right. Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. No, I get that. No, right. No, just wanted to throw it out there because I know you probably get asked all the time.
No, all the time. Yeah, how's Felger? Yeah, no, Mike's. It's always been nice to me. I can't say anything bad about him. And he's a professional. I mean, there's a reason why he's the #1 sports host in America. For ratings and so forth, and just really good at what he does. I mean, here's the thing, like, if there is a Patriots game on a Sunday, win or lose, especially a loss, I think people are making an appointment to change around their schedule or jump right at it to 2:00 on Monday to hear what Felger's saying right out of the gate. They want to hear what he's going to say. And that's a big thing right there. He is the face of the station. He is.
Yeah.
When you think of 98.5 Sports Hub, Mike Felger is
True.
right,
True.
he's right there, man.
Yeah. No, I will definitely be really, really brutally honest with you. There are times that I have been like watching him and just like doing stuff in the background.
Yep.
And he says something that like really pisses me off.
Yeah.
And I will just go, shut up, Felger.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just like I'll hit him right upside the head in my brain, and I'll be like, "What are you saying? You are really pissing me off right now."
You know what?
By the way, you're doing a great job.
And
really
Doug, I can tell you, you're not the first, and you're the last.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
it's working. It's working.
Yeah, no, I mean,
and
that's the thing. I mean, it works for Mike, and it just works for ratings. People want to talk to him. You know? Yeah.
So I do have two more questions for Mike as we begin to sort of wrap up here. The first one is you were talking about how a lot is going to video, and obviously on 98.5, a couple of those shows, Felger and Maz and Zone Bertrand, are simulcast on NBC Sports Boston. And I know, you've been, you're obviously, fill in and work on both of those shows. So I was curious, when you're on one of those shows and it's being simulcast and you're on TV, even when you're not speaking, sort of, does it change sort of how, sort of your awareness of like what you're doing, like, I don't know, body language wise, or just sort of the awareness of really, that's what I mean, is like the awareness of what you're doing, even when you're not necessarily talking in the conversation, but that like that camera is out there, as opposed to true radio where it's obviously nobody can see you.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And you want to, not that you wouldn't wear anything inappropriate, but you want to make sure you do wear something appropriate too.
Right.
Along those lines, and obviously, not that I wouldn't at least. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now, make sure you're not picking your nose or something like that. Be aware of the camera and so forth. It's always on you. You don't know when they could go to you. You just don't know.
Yeah.
So just have that ready at all times, and just be respectful. I mean, be a professional. You're on there. The TV's on you, so not only are you representing yourself, but you're representing the station. You're representing two stations when you think about it, radio and TV.
Right.
So just be professional. Don't be, if you want to be a clown or whatever, go somewhere else. But there's no need for that. You got to act like you've been there for a long time and set a good standard for everyone else.
Definitely. And so you're absolutely right. I noticed that on sort of the TV broadcast, everybody, does a really good job of sort of, being aware and stuff like that. And, I personally enjoy, I enjoy listening to 98.5 Sports Hub on the radio, but I also really enjoy watching the simulcast, because you can kind of see,
it's pretty cool,
can sort of see the visual of what's going on. It's very, very cool. And it's funny, we were talking earlier about, the clip that Zoe Bertrand played. I remember part of that was they actually, Greg Story, who does work for NBC Sports Boston, who you obviously used to be at the Wellesley Channel with me. Or I think it must have been through him. They actually were playing a clip of our sort of pregame stand-up from that game. I remember along with playing the audio, which I thought was pretty wild. There I go on NBC Sports Boston, and there's my face just right there up there on the on the big TV there. But so that was, it definitely has added a very cool aspect to it, I must say, having those simulcasts. But as long as you're here, I know you do work for the Patriots and stuff like that. So I would be remiss if we didn't sort of talk about this Patriots season so far, where they're 2-1, and the sort of the two parts I wanted to ask you about specifically are, number one, you've been in there the first two home games. What is it like having a Gillette Stadium with no fans in it? And second of all, after that, what are your thoughts about Cam Newton so far and his short time so far with the Patriots?
So the first home game against Miami was just eerie. My position right now for the Patriots is on hold until we get a crowd back, and even the Revolution too, until we get a crowd back for the public address. For the Patriots, what I'm doing is the marketing PA, and that's where you introduce the national anthem. You do a lot of stuff in between television reads and everything. This play has been brought to you by, or please be sure to visit DraftKings.com and vote for this and all that. You don't do that. There's no crowd right there. So it's really skeleton. I've been hanging out with John Rook, who is the down and distance PA announcer for the Patriots the last couple of home games. And I'm just shadowing him in the event of John not being able to be there and kind of serving as his backup. Because we just don't know what's going to happen with this virus. I mean, God, we want everyone to stay healthy, but just God forbid. So John and I were talking about this too before kickoff 2 weeks ago. Here it is 10 minutes before. You should be having everyone on their feet, getting amped up, playing music. The teams are both in their respective locker rooms. It's just like a library. It's like, this is eerie, really eerie. And, they're pumping in crowd noise, which is, I guess, recorded, or it's definitely artificial.
That must be weird.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what was even more strange was this past week, I really noticed it, where they had the crowd noise going during the plays, but once TV went to a break, boom, that's it. Quiet, dead silence. And it was like, oh, so weird. It was just bizarre. So it's an odd time we're living in right now. And it's just really strange. But as far as Cam Newton goes, I think he's probably the perfect bridge quarterback for this franchise here. Obviously, we know the Tom Brady story, everything he accomplished, and, the way it ended and so forth. I think if this were 10 years ago, and if this had ended this way with Tom Brady, I'd be much more devastated. But since he's on I don't want to be a Dan Duquette, but he's on the twilight of his career, I guess. He's on the end of it, right? Yeah, like that, Doug?
I like that. That was definitely a Dan Duquette. That was it. He said that all the time.
Roger Clemens, yeah.
Roger Clemens.
Roger's
right.
on the twilight of his career. He's,
that
exactly, yeah. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with Cam Newton taking the spot here until they figure out if they're going to give him a contract or if they're going to try to build for the future. It's a perfect situation for both sides. He can win, and the Patriots really don't have much to lose with him at the helm right there. It's a great position for them. He's exciting to watch. There's no hiding behind it. Schedules, this week is brutal game.
Oh, yeah.
Kansas City. Listen, watch him pull out a win. Watch him pull something out of their sleeve. They had Seattle on the ropes.
Yeah, 1 yard away from being 3-0.
Yeah, but he's exciting to watch, and it'll be interesting to see how this all pans out for the remainder of the year with the Patriots. As long as they can stay healthy, and if they win the division, I think they'll win the division. Maybe they make a little run, but I think 1-out, 2-out at the most.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Yeah, that is definitely a very fair, sort of prediction there. And it's interesting because the last Patriots game that I went to was last year against Kansas City, which, by the way, N'Keal Harry was in for a touchdown. And I will go to my grave complaining about how N'Keal Harry was in for a touchdown and how they possibly could have won that game, but that's a whole discussion for a different day. It will be very interesting to see them go into Arrowhead in this current form of Patriots and see, who knows? If they could pull off an upset, believe me, it's gonna kind of like if they had beaten Seattle, and even the way they lost to Seattle definitely sort of was like, well, this Patriots team is actually, we may have something here more than we expected. And then if they go in and beat Kansas City or even keep it close against Kansas City, I feel like they definitely will turn some heads.
He's actually wonderful listen to him.
Oh,
He
Newton,
is,
yeah, yeah,
oh,
yeah.
you are like, okay, well, what is he going to say next?
Right, right.
He's unbelievable for radio, though. He
He's
is
yeah.
fabulous when he answers questions because he doesn't do a Bill Belichick,
No.
which is, I don't want to answer any of your questions anyway, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
Or, he's like moving on to Kansas City or Seattle or wherever he's going next.
Yep.
He is great.
Yep.
He's got the nicknames for the guys, which is fantastic.
Yep.
And they ask him a question, and he is brutally honest on everything, which is wonderful. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to hear that he's so open to that kind of thing. And I think he's a little bit of a personality, which we happen to like around here.
Well, yeah, and just look at the his clothing and the cleats he wears. It's a very colorful character, which I like. I think it's cool. It's interesting.
Yeah, I think it's very cool.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. It definitely is good for a good chuckle, if nothing else. Some of his outfits, but definitely that is. I mean, it definitely is different than what we were used to here, and that's that's not necessarily a bad thing in that regard.
I mean, if they long answer short with the Patriots, like I said, if they can stay healthy, I got them going 9-7. I think that's
fair, very fair.
That was my that was my prediction preseason. I'll stick with that 9-7. I mean, I think the division games are obviously the most important. That's where you're making the most room. I don't think a bye is going to happen because only one team gets a bye now. That's very tough.
Yeah.
So that might be out. But if he can beat Buffalo, take them down twice, you're in the driver's seat. You get this.
Definitely.
So,
definitely. Buffalo's a tough team though, so we got to really.
It's weird.
Really,
it's like what?
Yeah.
They're at the top.
Yeah, it is weird. It is weird. But I hear Cam is going to help Robbie with his wardrobe.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I need help.
Good. He's a good guy to know.
Yeah, he is a good guy to know, Robbie. You said he talked to you a few times on the phone. He saw the podcast and he said, I gotta get you a hat.
Doug, I told that to you in confidence.
I'm sorry. Was I not supposed to say that?
I love it.
And actually, there was one last question that popped to mind because we were talking about sports during the pandemic. Like I wanted, because Doug and I have talked about why, sort of with the NBA wrapping up and the NHL having wrapped up and all the success that they did have, with their sort of bubble format. I was just, curious your thoughts as well, because it definitely shows that it can be done. I mean, obviously some of these other sports like baseball and football, it's a little bit tougher to do, but you got to give the NBA and NHL, I feel like, a lot of credit for pulling it off the way they did.
Yeah, and also, the big thing that they're going to be waving the flag for here is 0 COVID tests. I mean, look at the NFL right now. We just saw Tennessee this week.
Yeah.
That's not a bubble, obviously. So I think NBA and NHL did that right with the bubble here. NHL had like 0, which is pretty amazing. I know they really bragged about that, and good for them. They should.
Yeah, they were great.
Yeah. Major League Baseball had a big problem at first with Philadelphia and Miami, and a lot of that.
Didn't 8 of the Tennessee guys go to a casino or something? That's what I heard.
I think
today. They went to a casino or something like that, and all of a sudden it's like, you're breaking the rules, and all of a sudden, this is what happens, and you just can't do that. But I heard different reports that the bubble was really, really, really good, especially in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
But even in the NBA, the bubble was really good, except for the fact that you were like sitting there. Yeah, you could play a little ping pong and you could play video games and stuff like that, but that just goes a little far when you're talking about 2.5 to almost 3 months there.
Yeah.
That gets a little testy at most, but still, I mean, they did a great job with keeping it.
And then you're also just footsteps away from Disney World too. So
right, exactly.
That right there.
Exactly.
So that's another thing.
Definitely.
But as far as those guys doing that, I think they did the best they could. I think the NFL, a lot of people said it wasn't a question of if, it would be when someone would test positive or a team, and kind of saw that this week with Tennessee. But you know what? To their credit, I think it was what was most important to not just sports fans, but society after what we went through in the last 6 months where everything is shut down. You have some sort of return to a normalcy, if you will, with games back. And that might be the future of the NHL and the NBA, where you see them playing into the summer. I have no issue with that, Robbie. I'm sorry. I have no issue with that.
No,
not
at all.
No, take down baseball. I don't care. It doesn't affect. And I think that's great because, because when you think about it, like, you know, in August, we're just looking at preseason football, 4 preseason games. Like, after that first one, it's like, all right, let's go. Now you got a hockey game to watch, a playoff game, or a playoff basketball game. That's awesome. You know, how awesome is that right there?
No, it is great. You're absolutely right. I mean,
that might be the future. You know?
It might be.
Well,
at least while this thing is going on.
Yeah, the schedule is going to be very interesting to see, you know, sort of as they sort of
going forward,
even as they get back to, you know, having fans and home arenas and stuff like that. You know, the schedule is sort of not forever altered, but it kind of is, at least for the time being, because now that you're ending in, you know, October, basically, you know, late September, early October for both leagues. You know, you got to do your draft and you got to do all these different things.
Yep.
So it's going to be. Sports going forward is going to be very, you know, it's going to be fun as always, but it's going to be very interesting to watch.
And I'll say this too, like I said, you know, with society for the NBA and the NHL come back, and Major League Baseball for that matter too, sure. Now with the NFL, I think they, you know, with the exception of Tennessee there, but if the NFL is to have a full season where we have seen fans at some of the stadiums in the capacity, of course. Yeah, KC, Tampa Bay, Florida's like reopened, which is crazy. Dallas had some. You know, some of they have.
Ohio's are coming back. Like Cincinnati and Cleveland, I know are coming back. I think with fans in the coming weeks, is what I heard. So
yeah, but you know, if they do come back, you know, with some fans to a limited capacity, like we're seeing, and the most important thing. If the NFL is able to play the entire season without any other hiccups like this, that could be the real flag bearer for this whole virus in general. Like a major screw you, everything is good. We're going to be okay. Sports able to go on because in the end, the NFL is America's pastime. It's I don't care. Baseball is not anymore.
No, that I agree. I agree.
No, but the NFL, people change their life, their schedule for it. And Super Bowl Sunday, as we know, that should be a holiday.
Yes.
If you're able to do that.
Well, at least the Monday after, at least.
The Monday after, yes, it should be, you know.
Tuesday after, whatever.
Yeah, if you're able to do all that right here and have a full season, that might be the major FU to the coronavirus.
Well, I mean, the Monday after the Super Bowl, we all know is Bean Pot Monday. So, I mean, it's already
take the day off, yeah. Fan of the team, of your
take
team.
Take the day off anyway, right?
Yeah, celebration or depression, one or the other. You know?
But, yeah, I mean, it's sports is definitely, I agree with you completely in the sense that sports has been just a much needed sense of a return to normalcy in these just absolutely trying times, and to have sports back to watch on TV has been fantastic. So we did sort of want to start to wrap up here. And Mike, one of the things that we do on this show, and we invite guests to participate in at the end of our show, is sort of a final thought. It could be sort of about anything, you know, any other sort of thoughts that you want to bring up about really anything. Really, so do you know, is there any sort of final thoughts you'd like to give? And obviously, we give our guests the opportunity to go first always. So any sort of final thoughts you would like to share as we wrap up?
We're on the hot seat.
Wow. I mean, listen, I'll make it simple here. Non-sports related, like this whole year has been, everyone knows it's been a disaster. You know, and just be nice to people. You don't know what they're going through. You know, people have lost jobs and they've, you know, they're down and so forth. A lot of people are going through that sort of depression. Just be nice to people. You don't know what they're going through. Treat others the way you want to be treated, man. And, you know, the most important thing, if we want to get back to 100% the way we were, like prior to March 11th, whatever the hell that D-Day date was there is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. Which I really believe. I think we will. I'm not a doctor. I'm not on the coronavirus task force or anything. But I really believe
Actually, should be. Actually,
no, I appreciate that.
No.
I think we'll be back by like May 1st, 100%.
Okay.
2021.
Okay.
May 1st, yeah. But I just think, you know what? Stay healthy, stay safe, wash your hands, and wear your mask.
Yeah. That's right. That's what you got to do. Absolutely. And it's interesting. We were talking about
and do what you can to support the local guys.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends are local business owners. They've gotten killed with this. In danger of shutting down for life.
Restaurant bars, stores, everything.
Bars,
other stuff.
Restaurants.
Yeah, a buddy of mine owns a boxing gym. He does private one-on-ones. He was in trouble. I mean, he's okay now, but still, stuff like that, help them out. You know.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Support your local.
Gotta support your community.
Go to the local guys. Just be a good citizen if you're able to do it. You know.
Absolutely. And
but there's no excuse for not being nice.
No, not at all. And I mean, nice makes the world go round. So you're 100% agree. Could not have said it better. I did want to say for my final thought that I saw a tweet. I forget who it was, that it was of Gillette Stadium. It was a picture of the Gillette Stadium concourse the other Sunday, and they actually started to set up the painting. So I don't know. Again, I don't. Nobody knows for sure, but maybe people were speculating. Maybe this could mean that they're going to start to bring some fans back. Well, who? I mean, obviously, you might know better than I. You might know better than I do, for all I know. So.
Honestly, they have no idea either, because it's not their decision. This is the government's decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's out of their hands. But you're right. Have they prepared for those little painted lines like enter only, exit only, 6 feet apart here, and then the next footage is 6 feet away too, like that. And the signs, wear your mask, wash your hands, all that stuff. Yes, they're preparing. The only thing I'm a little eerie on, there's two things. I was talking to a lot of people about this over the last couple of days. Funny you brought that up. Boston, they just entered into the red of the virus again.
Yes.
And I just, you kind of see the writing was on the wall as we're coming back here. I mean, next week is Columbus Day. That's going to be like early to mid-October. And we're on the road to Thanksgiving and, Christmas and New Year's now. Here we are. And that's the height of flu season that's coming into it right there. And they're predicting that wave there. The other thing with Gillette is that it's in Massachusetts, but it's so damn close to Rhode Island. And Rhode Island, they have that travel ban. So
that's true. Yeah.
That's my concern, where I don't know, guys. So, however, it is outdoors. We know that. That's the key factor.
Right.
I don't think you're going to see a crowd at TD Garden until mid to late 2021.
Yeah, no, that one surprised me at all. I mean,
Gillette, you get 68,000 at Gillette, and it's outdoors. You can work around spacing.
Right.
But the fact with Rhode Island there, that worries me a little bit, and especially Boston, going into that red.
Yeah, we're not heading in the right direction right now.
No. Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, I didn't like that. And I made a bet with my mom. She works in the school system. She's a secretary. I'm like, I got a feeling, Mom, you guys are going to be back on remote by Columbus Day week. I got a feeling on that.
Yeah, it's tough. And that schools and kids is a definitely a very tough place to be, because, it's just been, it's tough. I mean, it's all tough, but schools especially, they're very concerned about it for sure.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. And obviously for me, it's interesting you bring, because I'm a big BC football fan, and my dad went to BC. We have season tickets, and obviously this is like the first year since I was 9-10 years old that we haven't been able to go to a single BC home football game. And so even just waiting for the day when kids could be back in Alumni Stadium is
Oh, come on, Robbie, take a joke.
Good
job, Doug.
I know.
That was a layup.
Listen. My reaction was all in good fun.
I know.
Great.
And it's true. It's true.
I'll keep my PC comments to myself.
My own running joke. Hey, I've seen you in alumni a few times, right? So don't tell me that you don't go to that.
I have been there. Yes.
My running joke with BC is that it's lucky you're lucky if it's a quarter full by the end of the first quarter or half full by the end of the first quarter. So listen, I'm.
How about an eighth full by kickoff? How about an eighth full by kickoff?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think people enjoy tailgating at the BC games more than they do the actual games. But hey, I mean, listen, more space to sort of spread out and root on the team. I guess.
I didn't mean to go on them. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Hey, listen. I agree with completely. BC and football.
Well, I can tell you guys this. For one more final thought. What you guys are doing here, just talking sports, and it's able to have like a free therapeutic thing for me as a guest. I appreciate you letting me have me on here. So I thank you guys for taking time out of your schedule to have me as a guest. Thank you. It's been very therapeutic for me to talk sports and hang out with two of my friends. I love that.
Oh, it's been great. Doug, I'm sorry I'm keeping you for your final
thought or what? Looking around
I was getting
Doug.
I was getting
it's okay. I'm just going to look at my phone for another 5 minutes and we'll be all right.
Doug, go ahead with your final thought, my friend.
Not like you can't see me or anything, So my final thought is I'm going to totally brown nose the guest because I feel it. I've done that with other guests too. But
I paid Doug to say this.
It's been he did it earlier. Thanks for the square stuff. Anyway, so Mike, thank you for being on.
My pleasure,
you were it's really refreshing. It's not just refreshing to have sports back, but it's a refreshing take on things that I think a lot of people are watching and listening to sports radio, and they might not know the behind the scenes. They might not know what's going on here and there. The normal everyday guy that's sitting in his Barca lounger just watching the Patriots game doesn't know what you do at Gillette Stadium. And to have you on and to have that kind of information is so very cool. And I love your energy and just great information.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can certainly have you on again. And it's just been great. And that's my final thought. And again,
thanks,
be
Doug. Nice
to everybody and that kind of thing. I what everybody else is saying also, but I just think it's sometimes you do have and I hear the guests that sports radio has on sometimes, and sometimes you have I love Devin McCourty, but he is not a good radio guy. Okay. All right. I love him, but you have to turn up the radio because you can't hear what he's saying.
Yeah.
Because he's got such a very low voice. He talks
right.
This is what I do. And I'm like, dude, what? Wake up. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You're all right. And that's okay because that's Devin. That's who he is. And I guess I don't know him, but that's who he is. You're not going to have everybody being a personality like Cam Newton or, anybody else. But Teddy Bruschi, another guy who's freaking phenomenal on radio. Love to hear him. Just because he's got a lot of energy, and you have that. And thank you so much for bringing that energy tonight.
My pleasure, guys. And keep me in mind. Love to jump back on with you guys anytime. We'll make it happen.
Definitely. And so, Mike, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of fun talking Wellesley Needham and, just all, radio stuff and all that good stuff. By the way, Wellesley leads the all-time series. Just wanted to throw that out there as we finish up here.
What a cheap shot. Yeah.
Hey. If you
BC
can't
and the Red Sox comment.
If you can't take the heat out of the kitchen.
That's fair.
No, hey, listen, Mike, I say it with all
due
respect. It's been a pleasure working with you over the years, and for the Wellesley Needham channel. You had me on the other Real Sports Report a few times.
Oh my God, that's right. Jeez, Rob, you
and,
really, we
he's digging deep, man.
I
know, I
dig
forgot.
that hole, just but no,
Dairy man there. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
it is.
Yeah, exactly.
No, it didn't say that. It didn't say that.
No, I know.
But no, it's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you. So you are welcome back anytime. We will definitely, definitely connect with you soon. And like I said, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been a lot of fun. So like I said, thank you to Mike Riley, the Sarge of 98.5, the Sports Hub, and so many other things. Follow this guy, folks. Was it Sarge 98.5 on Twitter?
Yeah, it's right there on Zoom. See it?
Right there on the Zoom
put it on
screen,
there.
right there. Yeah, that's perfect. Definitely give this guy a follow, and obviously you can hear him, on the radio and just all over the place. It's just does a really, really awesome job. So that's gonna wrap up episode 57 of the Sports Blitz. Thank you everybody for tuning in as always, and stay safe, stay healthy out there, stay well. For Doug, I'm Robbie, and we will see you next time on the Sports Blitz. Bye, everybody.